But before we get to all of you beautiful people and your big brains and thoughts on strategy and understanding politics, we need to take a little dive into somebody who is not a very beautiful person, doesn't really understand politics, and just constantly shoots himself in the foot. Tim Pool, Matt's former college professor.
Yeah. Well, he's a guest lecturer of my video game theory class at NYU, which I hasten to add every single class period that I attended. And actually, it was a pretty interesting, rigorous class besides the Tim Pool day, um, which was like, hey, if you're going to go cover like something like Occupy, bring an external battery. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But every one of those classes, and I understand this with my now put off student loan payments, but cost me about a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
So I paid a PlayStation 5 that Thursday and got up early in the morning to go to my video game theory class. And Tim Pool there in the beanie. And yeah, the only retention I have is external batteries and like I think a hotspot at the time.
Man, I wonder how
So
much they paid him for that.
I mean, that's interesting. I mean, we talked about the gold rush of like wonk bloggers like Matt Iglesias
Mhm.
and Ezra Klein, but I mean, if you would have showed up to Occupy with like the right equipment, you could be paid right now.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty
And
amazing.
that's where we're at with Tim Pool here, who not the most media literate guy, and it kind of is. He's a good example of a little knowledge can be a dangerous thing.
Hmm.
Uh, but I don't know. Anything else you wanted to say to set this brilliant piece of?
Well, I don't know. I guess no. We'll see it in the clip. The only thing is to show the Jackman cover, which I will say, Tim Pool is not alone, and just utter confusion by this cover from Jackman, which has been very funny to me. If you haven't seen it, you'll see it in a second, and you'll understand why people might be confused if they take this obviously cartoonish cover literally.
And I'm putting it up here. I'll share it
Are
for
you putting the
you.
Jackman cover up?
Yep.
I
I
mean, it's
know.
just an over for people. I guess most people are watching, but for people who may be listening, it's just an over the top portrait of Joe Biden as like a Jesus Christ with angel.
Who is this? I think that's Obama right above him. I think that's Bill Clinton, maybe
Yeah,
too, or maybe it's a Jimmy Carter. It's hard to tell.
Nancy
Um,
Pelosi and Chuck Schumer as beautiful angels, as archangels. I mean, obviously,
I also like how all the normal people down here are masked up, but the like important people in media and politics don't have to
no, that
bother
is a
with
good
that.
point. And aren't there's a couple of drones, bringing in the banners at the
Oh,
top, right?
right. Yeah. That might clue you in, for instance, that this wasn't completely in earnest from Jacobin. If the politics, what you understand of the magazine didn't. I like also the Biden our time pun, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it's pretty fun, man. It's all right. It's not my favorite kind of joke, but it's
but
very clearly a
Jacobin,
joke, you know?
great graphic design always.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, great magazine covers.
But we're going to see somebody who's going to look for some symbolism where it might not really be there. And that's Tim Pool. And I'll be honest, I don't watch this show. I only watch these hilarious clips that, surface every once in a while. Very funny for me to think about being on the Tim Pool crew. Being Tim Pool is very funny, but being his second, third
Being a
mic is also very
barnacle,
funny.
being a barnacle on a moron, on an industrial, on a moron, like a moron, industrialist moron. I'm trying to like put the words in the right order because he's made his industry on basically this idiocy which launders reactionary framings. I want to shout out actually. In addition to the fine works of Tim Pool Clips, who is on this beat and who covers as well, Jose Not a J on YouTube did a really really good review of Tim Pool's as what he calls as a copium salesman, um, and
Yeah.
and how Tim Pool keeps his audience ignorant. I mean, it's pretty genius because it's always Tim Pool is smart enough to say like, I'm not guaranteeing this thing is going to overturn the election and give Trump it, But some people are saying it, which is all those people need, right? You don't need the frothing at the mouth Nazi if you're like a right winger. You want somebody who, I mean, this is why Ruben was so successful, who gives you some semblance of giving you the entire battlefield. This guy surveyed it all, and he knows the legal arguments. Actually, a few people are suggesting that this might all work out. So I would just recommend this video here, how Tim Pool keeps his audience ignorant. Because and already 100,000 plus views, and it got sort of shadow banned by the algorithm. So go check that out. But anyway, now we can get back to Tim Pool himself, and we'll play this. This is via again Tim Pool clips.
And we'll talk about Joe Biden being president and this glorious image from Jacobin magazine. Now, I'll tell you what I find particularly fascinating about this is Jacobin is like socialist. Like their DSA, there's like communism. They get their name from the French Revolution, and they've put a cover out.
I mean, a pretty Wikipedia level understanding of Jacobin's politics, I guess, so far. But
I mean, but come on. That is the fun. This is like, there's going to be more fun stuff that comes later. But that moment right there is one of the funniest bits of the whole video, because he's doing like the kind of Wikipedia research. He's thinking about the French Revolution. He's also correctly positioning socialists as something that is, antagonistic to Joe Biden, right? So he's doing all of this deep look into Jacobin, into the politics, and thinking about that. But this moron didn't take any time to look a little bit deeper at the cover, right? Like the thing that's right in front of him, the thing that he's basing this entire segment about.
Yeah,
he didn't look closely at that, but he spent, 2-3 minutes like researching, Jacobin and thinking a little bit about socialist politics in the United States.
You don't even need to look inside the cover. This is not even like a don't judge a book by its cover. It's like judge it by the cover. Just like interpret the cover correctly, Tim.
And
we'll talk about Joe Biden being president and this glorious image from Jacobin magazine. Now, I'll tell you what I find particularly fascinating about this is Jacobin is like socialist. Like their DSA, there's like communism. They get their name from the French Revolution, and they've put a cover out, and it's Joe Biden as Jesus with the sun behind his head, literally imagery of Jesus. And there are people below him like looking up and cheering and worshiping him. And there's angels
absurd, isn't it,
filming
Tim?
and interviewing him. What are these people thinking?
Stop with this obsession with putting people above yourself and putting all the responsibilities and all your failures and all your hopes into one person, and take some gosh darn personal responsibility for yourself.
But when you have a media ecosystem that is acting like Joe Biden is literally Jesus, then I don't see how we
Come on,
we
Bhaskar.
actually solve problems. Just to clarify my point, Joe Biden could do really horrible things, and they don't care. But it's funny because they say the same thing about Donald Trump. Yeah. This is people worshiping Jesus Biden, who hasn't done anything. What did he do?
He defeated the devil.
Reed up against the wall.
Yeah, he defeated the devil. There you go. The evil Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell is going on in that room? What the hell is going on in that room when they sit around and they say, okay, here are the stories for the day. Here are the segments that we're going to do. Where there's, how many people is that? 4? I'm sure there's many more in his very fancy studio that he can't leave or set up video calls in. And not one person was like, okay, maybe these drones here are ironic. Oh, wait a second. Maybe the fact that everybody's on the ground looking up and worshiping this ghoul of neoliberalism that literally Jacobin today in the past few days has put out 5-6 critical pieces against Joe Biden. It's really amazing.
If there was one like bit of iconography that would signify a left critique of centrist liberals, it would be, I mean, maybe it would be like the Wall Street street sign, but probably it would be a drone, honestly. Like, I don't know what would tip it more quickly than drones flying in. Yeah. And like, literally Jesus, guys. I mean, all right. I mean, what Tim is doing is riling up, religious idiots in his audience there. Like, look at these. We also noticed this. Oh, who was it that mentioned BLM was a Marxist? Never mind. I'm getting confused with something. But anyways, Tim Pool for you. Not exactly media literate.
Oh, man, that is That's pretty good. And actually, if you don't mind, the Tim Pool clips person, their second tweet is sort of funny. Second level dunking there, where they say, "What's most amazing is that Tim Pool claims to be a satire expert, but can't detect obvious satire when it's right in front of him." And they put a couple of tweets of Tim's, saying like, "Oh, you guys aren't getting the joke. You're taking everything so literally. You got to understand the joke. It's an IQ." He keeps on using this phrase. Actually, it's an IQ test,
which is telling enough. Using the phrase IQ test is an IQ test, Tim, and it's not one you're passing.
I think that's exactly right.